Hi, my friends. Today is Wednesday, the 30th of April, and it's a rainy, thundery day in North Texas today. I just cleaned out our garage to get the car inside just in case it hails. About 9 years ago, we had this huge hailstorm here in Wiley, Texas, so we don't mess with hail. So, the topic today is how to give someone bad news on a professional level. And this is a skill that everyone should have. And I'm going to walk through the steps, but you will want to watch to the end because I'm going to save the most important part of this for last. And for this talk, I'm focused on the kind of bad news where something unforeseen happens and you have to work with someone to overcome it. Imagine you're heading up a project and you realize that the project is not going to deliver the results you expect, or it's going to be significantly behind schedule. You might have to tell your boss or your customer or your team or all of the above. So, here are the steps. First, make sure you have the facts. There are times when you start looking into it, it's not as bad as it looked at first, or could be a lot worse, but you need to know before you go forward. Second step, don't hesitate. Bad news doesn't get better with age. That's a saying that sticks with me. You want to give people that you are working with the time they need to deal with the problem. Next, anticipate what they're going to ask you and have some answers in mind. And also try and have an action plan in mind to mitigate the problem, or maybe even more than one potential course of action. Next, choose the right time and place and base this on how important the news is to the person receiving it. Now, not all bad news rises to the level where you want to pull someone out of a meeting or have them end a conversation. Most of the time, also, you don't want other people overhearing what you have to say. So, if you need to, make an appointment. Next, once you deliver the bad news, give the person time to react and process what you're telling them. Then take ownership of your responsibility in the situation. Blame, finger pointing, excuses, those don't make bad news any better. And it doesn't do anything to help the situation. And once you've delivered the bad news, that's when you get to work to address those issues. I can think of a personal example from my experience. I was a master sergeant in the Air Force. And one time when I was deployed to Iraq with a combat unit, one of my subordinates had an accidental firearm discharge and it damaged a critical piece of equipment and it put the mission on hold. So I went through those steps. I talked to the person involved and made sure I understood what happened. And then I went right away to talk to the commander. But on the way, I thought about how the commander was going to react. And I had some ideas on how we could move forward with this. So, since this was a pretty critical situation, I did tell him, go and find him and tell him, hey, sir, can you step outside with me? I have something important to tell you. And then I told him what had happened. And he paused, took a breath, and said, okay, bring your troop to the planning room. Wait for me there. So after that, we we talked about it and worked on the situation. So those are the steps that you go through when telling bad news. But there's something much more important, and I call this the step zero. This is what you do before any bad news happens, and that is build the relationships with the people around you. So when the time comes when you have to tell bad news, you can get through it and get right to work addressing the problems. And if you think about the people that surround you at work, there's probably, hopefully, at least one person and maybe more that if something bad happened, that's who you would like to hear it from. Build the relationships with people so that you can be that person for them. And on the other side, build trust with your coworkers so that when you need to hear the bad news, they won't hesitate to give it to you. And likewise, you probably know those people that if you had to tell bad news to, you might think, well, can't I just go to the dentist and get a root canal instead? Well, sadly, it doesn't work that way. Thanks for watching my video. If you found this helpful, please like, share, consider subscribing to my channel. On YouTube, I'm at QualityMike84. On LinkedIn, I'm one Michael Null. Send a friend request and request a time on my calendar and we can have a video chat. Make sure to help someone today and make all the good things happen. Goodbye.